The TSD450 is a portable combination cooler line dipstick tube flush machine. The machine has the capability of exchanging a vehicle's transmission fluid either through the cooler lines or through the dipstick tube using the supplied adapters. We'll begin with a brief overview of the TSD450 machine. Included with the machine are battery cables to hook to the vehicle's positive and negative battery leads, the various service hoses used to hook the machine to the vehicle's transmission cooler lines or dipstick tube, a fully interactive control panel, a cooling fan which keeps the machine running at optimal temperature during the exchange. You'll see the new and used fluid tanks on the back of the machine. Also included with the machine is a small dipstick reducer hose and a large dipstick hose with a manifold used to connect the machine's hoses to the dipstick tube. We'll begin by connecting the battery cables to the vehicle's battery. We'll connect the black cable to the negative battery lead, and we'll connect the red cable to the positive battery lead. The TSD450 includes a fully interactive control panel with ribbon switch buttons along the front. The first button, Quantity, is used to select the quantity of the exchange. The Start button is used to start the exchange. The Option menu button is used to toggle through the various options listed on the left side of the control panel. The current option will be displayed on the readout, with option 0 being the dipstick mode. The Add ATF button adds automatic transmission fluid to the vehicle in 0.2 of a quart increments. The Remove ATF button removes automatic transmission fluid from the vehicle in 0.2 of a quart increments. The Cycle Valves button is used to cycle the internal valves of the machine and free them from any blockage that may be present. The Emergency Stop buttons are used to stop the machine at any time during the service. The various lights are used to show what the status of the machine is at any given time. The Stopped light indicates that the machine is stopped. Halted indicates that the machine has stopped and there's a problem during the exchange. Running indicates that the exchange is being performed and the machine is running normally. Complete indicates that the service is complete. Switch hoses indicates that the black and red service hoses need to be switched to continue with the cooler line exchange. Shift to neutral indicates that the vehicle's transmission needs to be shifted into neutral in order to continue with the exchange. New ATF low indicates that the new fluid tank does not have enough fluid to perform the quantity ATF exchange that has been selected. The used ATF full indicates that the used fluid does not have enough open volume in the tank to finish an exchange at the quantity selected. Add or remove ATF indicates that the machine is either adding or removing automatic transmission fluid from the vehicle. New or used ATF drain indicates that the machine is draining automatic transmission fluid from either the new or used tanks. Before you begin your first exchange, or to purge air from the lines at any point during the machine's life, the auto prime function can be used on the machine. To auto prime the machine, you'll begin by selecting 2 mating adapters out of the included adapter kit. We'll mate the 2 adapters together. Tighten them up. Then hook the 2 adapters to the red and the black service hoses. At this point, your new fluid tank should be filled with fluid. You can toggle through the option menu to option 7, which is auto prime, and hit the start button. The auto prime function starts immediately and ends automatically when the auto prime is complete. We'll begin by locating the transmission's cooler lines, which are hooked to the radiator in the vehicle. In this particular vehicle, the cooler lines are located on the right-hand side of the engine bay, right here. We'll loosen the fitting using the appropriate wrenches. Once the fitting is removed, use the included adapter chart to choose the correct adapters to hook up to the vehicle that you're servicing. In this case, we're going to use adapters 57 and 53. The adapters can be hooked one to the open hose end and the other to the radiator of the vehicle. Tighten the 2 hose fittings using the correct wrenches. Next, we'll connect the master connectors to the 2 service hoses on the machine. At this point, the service hoses can be connected to the 2 opened hose ends. Once the service hoses are connected and the machine's ready to go, the car can be started. After starting the car, check the hose connections to make sure there are no leaks. Before you begin the exchange, check the fluid level on the vehicle's dipstick. Verify that the fluid level in the vehicle is at the correct level. After verifying there are no leaks, the quantity of the service can be selected on the machine. After selecting the quantity, the service can be started by touching the start button. In this case, the machine is telling us to switch hoses, meaning that we have the red and black service hoses backwards. At this point, we can shut the car off and switch the hoses. We'll switch the black and red hoses. and then we can resume the exchange. Besides the switch hoses light, another possible scenario is that the shift to neutral light could illuminate. If the shift to neutral light illuminates, set the vehicle's parking brake and shift the vehicle's transmission into neutral. At this point, the exchange can be resumed. Again, the vehicle can be started. Check the hoses for leaks. And the quantity again selected on the control panel. After the quantity is selected, touch the start button to begin the exchange. When the selected amount of fluid has passed through the vehicle, the machine stops automatically. When the machine is complete with the exchange, the complete light will illuminate on the machine's control panel. After the exchange is complete, the fluid level in the vehicle's transmission can be checked using the dipstick. Verify that the fluid level in the transmission is correct, and replace the dipstick. If the vehicle's transmission requires that fluid be added or removed from the transmission, the two buttons on the control panel can be used to add fluid or remove fluid in 0.2 of a quart increments. If more fluid is needed, option 1 can be used to add 1 quart at a time, or option 2 can be used to remove 1 quart at a time. We'll stop the car's engine, and the service hoses can be removed from the vehicle. Be aware that the service hoses and the fluid could possibly be hot. In this case, the machine is telling us to switch hoses, meaning that we have the red and black service hoses backwards. At this point, we can shut the car off and switch the hoses. We'll switch the black and red hoses. And then we can resume the exchange. Again, the vehicle can be started. Check the hoses for leaks. And the quantity again selected on the control panel. After the quantity is selected, touch the start button to begin the exchange. Besides the switch hoses, another possible scenario involves the shift to neutral light. If after beginning the exchange the shift to neutral light illuminates, you'll want to shift the vehicle's transmission into neutral, then resume the exchange. We can now remove the two adapter hoses that were connected to the car at the beginning. Once the two adapter hoses are removed, the car's fittings can be reconnected. Tighten the vehicle's fittings together securely. After the vehicle's fittings have been reconnected, the car can be started and the fittings again checked for leaks. After the service is complete, the battery cables can be removed and all miscellaneous tools and rags can be removed from the engine bay. To begin the dipstick service, we'll remove the vehicle's automatic transmission fluid dipstick. At this time, we'll check the vehicle's fluid level to make sure that the fluid level is at the proper specification. Once the fluid level is verified, we'll use the supplied dipstick adapter manifold and hose, and we'll insert the hose into the dipstick and push it down until it stops. Don't force the hose any further, as the hose may curl on the bottom of the pan and be taken out of the fluid. Once the dipstick adapter has been inserted into the vehicle's transmission dipstick, the service hoses can be connected to the supplied dipstick adapter manifold. We will use the red and gray service hoses to perform a dipstick exchange. Both service hoses hook to the dipstick manifold. Gray hooks to the non-colored side. Red hooks to the side that has the red fitting. Secure that somewhere in the engine bay and return to the machine. At this point, we can select the quantity for the exchange that we'd like to do. Toggle through the option menu until we reach option 0, which is the dipstick mode. At this point, we can hit the start button and begin the exchange. The machine will begin by completely draining the automatic transmission fluid from the pan. It will then refill the pan and prompt you to start the car. The machine has now emptied the pan and has begun refilling the vehicle's transmission pan. On the readout, we can observe how many quarts are being put into the vehicle. Once the pan has been refilled, the word car appears on the screen, which signifies that the vehicle needs to be started. Once the vehicle has been started, we can return to the machine and again hit the start button. The machine will begin by adding 1 quart of fluid into the vehicle. After that, it will alternate between removing a quart and adding a quart until the full pre-selected amount of quarts have been added to the vehicle. sure during the exchange that the air conditioning system on the vehicle is in the off position. The service is now complete. The dipstick adapter can now be removed from the vehicle's transmission dipstick, and the transmission fluid level can be checked with the vehicle's dipstick. Many vehicles require that the vehicle's automatic transmission fluid be checked with the vehicle running. Remove the dipstick tube adapter, insert the vehicle's dipstick, and check the vehicle's automatic transmission fluid level. If the level were too high after the service is complete, we can reinsert the dipstick tube and use the Remove ATF Fluid button to remove fluid from the vehicle. If the level were too low, we could again reinsert the adapter and use the Add ATF button to add fluid back to the vehicle. After the service has been fully completed, the battery cables can be removed from the vehicle, all tools cleared from underneath the hood area, and the hood closed. This completes the dipstick service.